So you're someone who wants to understand the big picture, right? To cut through the endless news cycle and really grasp the core of major global challenges.
Yeah, get to the heart of it efficiently.
Exactly. That's why we're here. Today, we're plunging into a really crucial issue. It's edging closer to all our lives. The accelerating rise of sea levels.
And specifically, how it might reshape the world by threatening some, really iconic locations.
We're basing this on an analysis that was featured in an article, 12 Places We Will Lose to Rising Sea Levels.
Right. And that piece pulled together a lot of data: coastal elevation, past flooding, climate projections from top oceanographic institutions.
So our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear. Figure out which major population centers are most vulnerable and understand the specific challenges they're up against.
Okay, let's get into it. The sort of headline figure from the sciences, well, it's quite sobering.
It really is. Oceans could rise by as much as 6.6 feet by 2100.
6.6 feet. It sounds abstract, maybe, but when you think about how low-lying many coastal areas are.
It means huge changes, a dramatic reshaping of coastlines globally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the impact won't be the same everywhere. The article really highlights this diverse vulnerability.
Like the examples you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, think about the Maldives. Average elevation across the islands is incredibly low, like less than 5 feet low.
Wow.
Then contrast that with somewhere like New Orleans, a major city, but large parts are already below sea level, dealing with that complexity right now.
And this isn't just one or two spots. The analysis covers places across 6 continents. It's truly a global issue.
Absolutely. Shall we zoom in on some specific places?
Let's do it. This is where it gets really interesting. Starting with Miami, Florida. Everyone knows Miami, the beaches, the culture, Art Deco. It's a global destination.
It is, but what's striking is its, fundamental lack of natural height. Miami Beach averages just about 2 feet above sea level.
Only 2 feet.
And the city itself barely gets over 4 feet. Now, factor in nearly 500,000 people.
And it's in a hurricane zone.
Right, so even a moderate sea level rise dramatically increases the risk from high tides, storm surges. Plus, the ground itself, the limestone, it's porous.
So salt water can just seep up from below, too, not just over the top.
Precisely. It makes standard flood defenses less effective in some ways. The article mentions residents facing that tough choice: stay or go.
And even specific landmarks are at risk, like Carl Fisher's clubhouse mentioned in the piece. Makes you think about preserving history, too.
It does. And the economic side, a major tourist hub facing more frequent flooding, that has serious long-term consequences for tourism, property values, insurance.
Yeah, you can see how that would ripple outwards. Okay, let's shift across the globe. Tokyo, Japan, totally different scale, right? World's largest metro area.
Huge. Over 37 million people.
So what's the vulnerability there?
A lot of Tokyo, including some really key spots like Tokyo Disneyland and 8 Airport, they're built on reclaimed land in Tokyo Bay.
Reclaimed land, so basically right at sea level.
Pretty much. Just barely above it. But interestingly, the analysis points out that much of the older, higher part of the city is actually above the typical flood zones.
Okay, so that allows for more focused defense.
Exactly. Japan can concentrate its, considerable resources on protecting those critical low-lying areas. It's the targeted approach.
That makes sense. Okay, let's head to Europe. Amsterdam, the Netherlands. A city practically defined by water, canals everywhere.
Right, and it's basically at sea level, some parts even below. They've had this incredibly complex system of floodgates, dikes, for centuries. They live with water.
But can those systems cope with what's coming?
That's the question. The data suggests that even a rise of around 2 feet puts immense stress on those defenses, especially if you get severe winter storms pushing water in from the North Sea.
So the canals, part of the city's charm, could become a major weak point.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
It's a sobering thought, isn't it? A city so engineered for water possibly being overwhelmed.
It really is. Okay, back to Asia. Bangkok, Thailand. Another massive city, over 17 million people. Bustling, cultural hub.
Bangkok's big issue is its extremely low elevation, generally under 5 feet, many areas much lower.
And the river?
Yeah, the Chao Phraya River runs right through the city and out to the Gulf of Thailand. It's another pathway for flooding. They had those devastating floods back in 2011, remember?
I do, yes. That was huge news.
And studies, like from the OECD, suggest millions, maybe around 5 million people, could be at risk from severe floods in the future.
Threatening landmarks, too.
Yes, the article mentions Wat Arun, the Grand Palace. Iconic, culturally vital places.
Wow. Thinking about losing places like that really drives home the human cost. Okay, staying in a hurricane region, let's talk New Orleans. Louisiana, U.S., unique culture, incredible place, but
But also tragically familiar with water's destructive power. Hurricane Katrina in 2005.
still feels recent. The devastation was immense. The article mentioned the death toll, over 1,800 people.
And the city's situation, below sea level in many parts, in that active hurricane zone. Rising seas just make every future storm potentially much, much worse.
It's a threat multiplier, as you said.
Exactly that. Climate change acting as a threat multiplier.
Okay, let's cross the Atlantic. London, UK, global finance, culture, history tied to the Thames.
London has the Thames Barrier, which is a major defense. But the threat is the sheer volume of water during extreme weather, combined with higher sea levels.
So the barrier might not be enough eventually?
It could be overwhelmed or need significant upgrades. A lot of the key areas, the historic center, Tower of London, lots of development are right on the riverbanks.
And the potential impact.
A sea level rise over, say, 2 feet could displace hundreds of thousands. It would be an economic catastrophe for a city like London.
Not just flooding, but the ripple effects. Okay, moving south again. Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, another huge, fast-growing city.
Vietnam's largest, over 9 million people. And again, it's the low elevation, large parts less than 3 feet above sea level.
And a river running through it.
The Saigon River winds right through. So you have that riverine flood risk combined with the coastal risk, and a lot of infrastructure, buildings, are packed into those low-lying flood zones.
The density makes it even riskier.
Absolutely. The potential for widespread disruption is enormous.
Okay, now for a place where the threat feels maybe most existential, the Maldives, an entire nation of islands.
Yeah, the Maldives are really on the absolute front line. Most of their islands are barely 3 feet above sea level.
3 feet.
The stark prediction is that by 2100, much of the nation's land could just be underwater permanently.
Is there any hope there?
Well, the article does mention one potential, though uncertain, factor: coral reefs. Healthy, growing reefs can provide some natural coastal protection.
But it's a long shot, relying on nature to keep pace.
It's complex. Reef health itself is threatened by warming waters. So, yes, it's definitely not a guaranteed fix, more like a small potential mitigating factor.
Okay. Let's shift to Shenzhen, China. Massive city, global tech hub, huge industrial base, coastal location again.
Right, a vast coastal area naturally has many low-lying flood zones. There's some natural protection from mangrove forests, swamps. They absorb storm energy.
But is it enough?
Probably not against a 2 to 3 foot rise by 2100, which is projected. That could still flood significant parts of this vital economic area.
And nearby Hong Kong faces similar issues.
Yes, very similar vulnerabilities. It's worth noting China's Sponge City initiative here, too.
Sponge City, what's that?
It's a large-scale urban planning approach, trying to make cities absorb water better, more green spaces, permeable surfaces, better drainage, aiming to reduce flood risk.
Interesting. A proactive engineering and planning approach. Okay, different vibe now. Dubai, UAE, known for futuristic architecture like the Burj Khalifa.
Right, cutting-edge image. But its coastal zone is severely at risk from rising seas.
How so? Is it low-lying too?
It is, but also a lot of the iconic coastal structures, even those artificial islands, are built on sand.
Ah, so inherently less stable against erosion and rising water.
Exactly. As they keep building more high-end hotels and developments right on the coast, the need for really robust, adaptable protection becomes critical. It's a vulnerability, perhaps, hidden behind the futuristic facade.
That's a great point. Even advanced engineering faces limits. Okay, back to the U.S., New York City. The biggest U.S. city, global finance, culture.
And, like London, concentrated population and infrastructure near the water. Large parts of lower Manhattan, coastal Brooklyn, Queens, are below 6 feet elevation.
And the subway system.
Hugely vulnerable. We saw that with Superstorm Sandy, didn't we? Water pouring into the tunnels.
Yeah, that was unbelievable footage.
And it's in a hurricane zone, too.
Yeah.
So, again, that combination of low elevation, vital infrastructure like the subway, and storm risk, it's a potent mix. The economic stakes are just immense.
Chilling to think about the subway flooding again on a larger scale. Okay, one last location. Hamburg, Germany. Major European port city.
Hamburg has a long history of floods from the Elbe River, serious ones.
So they're prepared.
They have defenses, yes. But the projections show that even a rise of just over a foot significantly increases the risk of massive floods from winter storms surging up the river.
Because so much development is on the low riverbanks.
Exactly. Developed areas connected right to the sea via the river. They're doing a huge renovation of their flood defenses, now costing hundreds of millions.
But will it be enough long term?
That's the uncertainty. It's a huge investment. But facing accelerating sea level rise, the outcome isn't guaranteed.
So wrapping this all up, looking across all these places, Miami, Tokyo, Amsterdam, Bangkok, New Orleans, London, Ho Chi Minh City, Maldives, Shenzhen, Dubai, New York, Hamburg, it's clear this isn't some far-off problem.
Not at all. It's a real, present, and growing threat. To iconic places, yes, but also to economically vital hubs, cultural heritage sites.
And potentially displacing millions of people. We're talking about losing not just land, but homes, history.
Precisely. This isn't just for future generations to worry about. The science suggests significant impacts well within this century. And the variety of vulnerabilities really shows it's a global crisis needing diverse solutions.
Okay, so here's something to leave you, our listener, thinking about. Considering this scale, the potential loss of landmarks, the displacement, the economic shocks, what innovative solutions, what kind of global collaboration do you think is most critical now? How do we actually address this accelerating threat?
It's a massive question. Requires input from everyone, scientists, engineers, policymakers.
And us as citizens understanding what's at stake, something to definitely mull over.